Eddie, let's describe the feeling of the bands in the SWAC. You know, everybody else do these boring games. So let's describe that feeling of being a referee and the bands rocking. And
You know, I really love our bands in the SWAC, except we got this little policy that they're not supposed to be playing when the team is coming up to the line of scrimmage, and they don't care. It could be their own team. They really don't. I talk to band directors as much as I talk to coaches, and they really believe that 75% of those people in the stands come to see them, and they honestly believe that. And some of them are right.
Man, there you go.
And you have to give them their props, but you know, it was also using your skills to get them to comply, you know, like, and my thing would be like, look, I don't want to stop the game to say, but the Jackson State band, please refrain from playing while the teams are coming up to the line of scrimmage. Thank you. And I would say that, thank you. And then I would get booed tremendously. You know, it was just horrible, you know, but they worked with me a lot. But the thing is, they knew when they saw me coming that I would enforce it, you know, and when guys don't enforce it, they take advantage of it, you know. So the bands are loud and they're good, you know, and they are a big part of what we do in the SWAC, but they also got to learn that there's a time for everything, you know. And what really gets me, if we're on TV and we got those 3-minute times and then quiet, you know, wait, no, this is the time that y'all
TV time out, they not playing.
Yeah, y'all should be getting it on now. I'm even listening now, you know.
Right.
Come on, you know. But they wanted to blare it out when TV was there, you know. So it's another thing that you have to deal with, you know. But it's a fun part of the game, you know. They are a big part of what we do, and people do come to see them. So you got to have to give them that slack, you know. When the game is, if it's a tight game all the way through, I wouldn't cut them any slack, you know. But once it get to, we all know who the winner is, I would cut them some slack, you know.
So Eddie, we like to bring people behind the curtains in the unofficial lounge. And we all know it takes a lot when it comes to officiating, people helping us out and getting to know people coast to coast. Tell us the first time you remember meeting Mr. Chuck Stewart, because these are always good stories.
Hey, I tell you what, and Chuck would never let me finish this story, but I used to admire Chuck when he was in the league, you know. Number one, he was a line judge, and I was a line judge, so I would watch him. Didn't know Chuck from Adam, you know, but I would watch him do his thing, you know. And like Chuck say, he got write-ups in the league behind using those nice words that y'all don't want me to use, and being a little overweight. And I was a little overweight, you know, so we had a lot in common, you know. I didn't even know we used the same words, you know. But
it's a clean show, Chuck and Eddie. It's a clean show.
I said those words, dude. So, you know, I just always watched him work, and he was working his butt off. So I would try to go do the same thing Chuck would be doing, whether I was in high school, you know, and even when I got to be in college. So Apollo Martin, a good friend of mine who's out there, was my umpire, you know, and we saw eye to eye, which normally my umpire was a lot taller than I was, so I was kind of happy to have Apollo, you know.
A meeting of the minds.
Yeah. Not to mention the eyes. You know? Apollo called me, you know, he said, hey, I got a guy out here that can really watch some film, you know, and he's gonna take a look at our game, and I think we were at Alcorn or somewhere.
Uh-oh.
And then he's go critique it and let us know. I said, cool. I said, who is it? He said, Chuck Stewart. And I was like, who? Did you say Chuck? He said, yeah. The Chuck Stewart is in the NFL, you know? He said, yeah. I said, cool, man. So he said, well, once he finished, I'll give you his number and let you call him, you know? So I called Chuck, and Chuck was right